Welcome to Becoming Parents Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Campbell. I'm a doula in Washoe County, Nevada, a Medicaid provider, a lactation educator, childbirth educator, and mom of 18. You can find me and connect on doulainreno.com. Remember, give a shout out to those who are brave enough to share their stories with us on how they have become parents. Let's dive in. Welcome to Becoming Parents. I'm your host, Jennifer Campbell, and today I am on with Stephanie. Wait, Miklosvary?
No, it was close. I told you I don't know how to say it myself, but I'll say it. Miklosvary.
Miklosvary. For
I
some
don't even
reason,
know if that's correct, but we're gonna go with
okay. I mean, I keep messing it up. So welcome. I'm so glad to have you on today. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited. Jump in and start telling us about your parenting journey.
My parenting journey was very long, and I'm here, and I've been here for 10 years, and I have to say it was so difficult that I know every parent is grateful for their children, but I just look at them still and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I really got to have them. So I did IVF for 6 years.
Oh
Some
my
natural
gosh. I'm
So
so
some
sick.
natural pregnancy along the way, in a topic we had, like we put it all, we did everything, right? We fit it all in. And so by the time I was pregnant with twins, because the last try we were like, let's, one or two. And it's always a joke in the family. When we'll look at them, my mom will say to me, because she was actually in the waiting room, my husband was away. We were always in the hospital, right? So the doctor called me in and he said, look, there's two good looking ones. And we all were like, let's do two. This is our last chance. And so that's when it happened. And I have two boys, they're 10 years old. And it was like this passion project. But even today, even today, that parenting journey, it's so a part of my life today, because I truly believe, and this isn't for everyone, of course, it's just my story, but like when my kids have problems with whatever they're going through, I always just say, it may not work out, but just, you don't need to give up yet until you feel like you really need to stop. But like if you've got any gas left in the tank, keep going, and we'll be there for you. And I think that that's what those 6 years taught me. And
Holy
sometimes
cow.
now I don't know when to give up on things, because I'm like, no, we will not give up. We will achieve this.
So it took you 10 years to have the two boys
No, no,
total,
six.
just six. Okay. And they're 10. Got it.
Yeah.
What made you go down IVF? And I ask this because I went through infertility for about 10 months. I was max on Clomid and Provera, went through 7-day surgeries. And when the doctor said IVF, I waved the white flag. I was like, I'll adopt, I'll do something else, but that is not my journey. And you didn't feel that way, obviously, but how did you get there and how did you last 6 years through that?
Right. So I was married later at 37. And over the like during the IVFs, we were trying to figure out, like, navigate our way through adoption. And I
Okay.
always was like very open my entire life. Before I knew if I had was able to have children or not, I always was open to adoption. But we would go to meetings and it just felt like, oh my gosh, we have to just wait. And I think it's just hard for me to put myself in a situation where I'm waiting and waiting. And I felt like with
Mm.
IVF, I was like more proactive, you
I
know.
do get that. How many
And
attempts did
so
you guys do?
it was like six or more. But I did a lot of Clomid and all that. So
Oh,
I did. So you know what I mean? Over the 6 years, like for the first three, and then I had a miscarriage, and
okay.
then an ectopic in my
Oh,
ovary. So I had like recovery periods throughout, the time of the 6 years, and then we would put an IVF in there and sort of show I was preg. It was show sometimes I was pregnant, but very weak, and then So, so then I had the most awesome pregnancy of twins that you can ever imagine.
Okay,
Like
definitely want to hear about that. I may ask you more questions on the other stuff because going through a miscarriage, ectopic pregnancy, 6 IVFs, thinking you're pregnant, that is really tough. And Clomid, it made me feel like a psycho.
right.
But tell me about your pregnancy. You get pregnant.
I felt nauseous once and ate a slice of pizza and I was like, I'm good. And like I they were like, "Do you want to breastfeed?" And I was, "Oh no, they didn't ask. No one ever asked. I never took a parenting class pregnant because I was so relaxed that I got pregnant that I wasn't going to stress about when they came. It was bizarre. I'm not, that's not who I am. But like for the entire 38 weeks, I was like, yeah, this is great.
38
I,
weeks? You made it
yeah,
38 weeks?
yes. And I delivered at the boys were born at 7, 9, and 6'11".
Holy crap.
So I didn't have an ounce of like I had nothing like I was like bony and big in the front. They just ate everything. It's kind of fun to talk about this 10 years later. I never talk about this that much now,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know?
fascinated. How did you deliver? Did you try to deliver vaginally?
No, anything that anyone ever told me to do, like I trusted my doctor that I was sent to after, like, I wasn't considered high risk, but, I had my fertility doctor recommend the person that he wanted me to be with. And when the topic came up about delivering, she said, look, there's only one way I'm delivering these babies, and it's via C-section. And if you want to take another route, I'm not your girl. And I was like, fair enough. Take them how you want. Just get them out healthy. I'm good. Cause that's, like I had been through, like, I wasn't like, I didn't have a romantic version of how anything was supposed to be. Cause
No.
that wasn't a part of my, so like after I gave birth, the woman came in and she's like, do you want to breastfeed? I was like, if they want, let's, like,
Let's wing it.
right? I mean, that's kind of, I did have a baby nurse lined up. I don't want anyone to think that I was that chill because when I came home, like my milk was in my shoulders.
Yes.
I was like, oh, and she had me in the bath and she was rubbing me down. And so and I slept 9 hours a night because I had that person.
Wow.
So I wasn't tied to be like, no, I'm the only one that could be with them because it was just so hard to begin with to get
Right.
there.
I mean, I love that you said you didn't have a romantic version of how this was supposed to go because that really made it so that you were like, whatever. Also, odds of a C-section with twins is super, super high. So you could have fought it, but at some point it's like to what end, Is
Well,
this
what she said was if you deliver the first one naturally, you're risking the life of the second one, is how she put it to me. So I was like, well, that sounds kind of dumb. And she's like, a double recovery, C-section and vaginal, that will be like a double whammy. So, you know,
Yeah. Well, and definitely like emergency when you get rushed back to a C-section is not as easy on your body as a planned C-section. Because I'm
right,
there for those. And
right,
I mean, I wish no one had to go through a C-section because it's major abdominal surgery and there's all kinds of other things, situations in
right,
that. And when you need to, man, I love being in the OR and I'm glad that we have the ability to do that. And so,
right,
yeah, that's like not probably the hill I would die on in your situation either. So, how did
right,
breastfeeding go? And like, there's no mom that sleeps 9 hours a night naturally. So, tell me about your recovery. Tell me about having a nanny. The decision for that. You also said your husband wasn't there when the boys were born.
oh no, he wasn't there when they were implanted
Oh, got
in
it.
me.
Okay. Sorry. I'm
Right.
glad I clarified that.
Oh yeah, he was there.
you, you and the doctor and
Yeah,
the
no, no,
and the
no, like
needle. Got it.
that probably wouldn't like gone over that well.
I was like, I don't know. Maybe that was okay. I don't.
No judgment. Someone once told me their husband may not make it home for the delivery. He was on a boys' weekend. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
To
I
each his
mean,
own.
to each his own, right? Like this is a non-judgment space. So tell
Right.
me about that. Tell me about your recovery, the kids, having a nanny. I think women who are curious about that or want that or wish they had that. Also, you'd gone through a tremendous amount. And so how you just recognizing and knowing like I'm going to want someone here for me, that was great. No matter what your decisions are and how you're raising kids or healing, that was awesome. Instead of hitting the wall and struggling and feeling like a failure, you just from the beginning were like, nope,
Right.
we're getting help.
Exactly. Well, because I met other women in my
Yeah.
infertility journey, they went before me, and one of my friends that I had met during IVF had this nanny, this wonderful nurse, really, that
Mm.
came, and she lived with you for 2 weeks. So that was just like so wonderful. She became like a part of the family for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so that was really, I really trusted her. She was with all of my friends.
Oh, I
So
love that.
yeah, everyone took turns. Then I was next. And so everyone, so the breastfeeding journey, when I was in the hospital, I just remember I was in the hospital bed, and this nurse was like, well, like, do you want to breastfeed? And I was like, if it'll work. And she goes, well, let me see him.
Yep.
And I know I just, so I was like, whoop. She's like, that's great. Well, we're good. We're in good shape. I guess because like the size, like of how they were going to latch was like, just like, okay, this shouldn't be hard. Now they were twins, right?
Yep.
So, okay. So I didn't have any expectations. So I never assumed I never had it in my head that I was going to be like their everything regarding their food. Because like, I don't know, like I didn't even know if that was possible. Like I could never picture, I don't know, maybe I was like never thought a body could do it that, me
Yeah,
or anyone else, right?
it can,
So
but
right.
yeah,
So
it's a lot of
I did
work.
it. Right. So I did it. And it's like hard to remember, like, but I did it till 5 months.
Oh, good job. Wow, that's great.
Right. So, but what we did was I pumped, and then my husband, we're on a schedule. And when one woke up, we woke the other one up, and I started breastfeeding one. My husband would do the pumped milk, and then the other one would get pumped, and then we'd switch.
Hmm.
And then everyone back to bed. And so 3 times a night we would do that. For how long? We had our whole little, we kept it. It's pretty funny. We have a spreadsheet. I don't like spreadsheets. My husband does.
I love it.
Left
That's
breast,
great.
right breast, poop, pee, the whole thing. We've got it all. If the kids want to
Wow.
know, that's the one document we kept. Go figure. We thought it was funny.
I mean, it is. I think I always tell moms, parents, when I'm working with them, like, throw that away and just, I mean,
But
you can be over scheduled and over information and so focused on that, like you're losing sleep over
right,
that. Um,
right. But the
but for some
problem is I
people, it
couldn't
works.
remember
Yeah.
anything.
No, none
and
of
they
us
and
can.
they were boys, so everybody looked the same. And after 6 hours I was like, did you eat yet? I was just like, who ate? It's like,
I think it's great. I think finding what works for you that reduces your stress is the most important
yes,
thing.
that was
And that
stress
looks
reducing.
different. Yes. And that looks different. And it gave your husband like this something to do,
Right,
he was the keeper of the tracking
right,
device. I
right,
love it.
exactly.
Wow. Now I'm guessing because of just talking to you a little bit that having these boys at 6 years and everything you went through, you're like, worth it. Don't even care. Not even a big deal.
You're asking me if that's, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that it's like, it's it's like a really like, I don't know. Yes, about 1,000,000% it all falls away, as they say, when childbirth happens. Like, people don't remember that pain. I mean, I do remember the grief of
Oh
what it
yeah.
was like to think that I couldn't have children, and when everyone else was having them around me and it was so easy. And my husband and I have a joke, like, I'm like, they're pregnant. You know what? I think they had sex.
Yeah, my doctor, when I went through infertility and I was like, no IVF, wean me off the Clomid, they were checking my blood all the time. And it was this little Asian man, and he walked into the room and he hugged me. And he was the most quiet, shy.
Yeah,
And I was, and he said, I don't know how you got pregnant. It wasn't on our schedule. It
that's
was a
amazing.
like you shot off a random egg, expect high chance of miscarriage, tough pregnancies. This was a miracle. I don't know if you'll ever get pregnant
Beautiful.
again, right? But
Right.
it's
Right.
like, I mean,
Yeah.
is it all worth it? Yeah, but is it really freaking hard and depressing? Yes, also, yes.
Right.
So
Right.
it's both. And
I mean,
that,
I think, yeah, I think, you know, we are who we are because of
yeah.
our collective experiences. And, you know, someone's husband said to me, I feel like such an idiot. He said, I was that guy who would walk up to people and say, aren't you pregnant yet?
Oh, yeah. Hard. So hard. So hard.
Right. And people like
Right.
you walk in their room and they look at your belly. It's like, I think that like, wow, it's like, I think my husband changed as a person going through
Oh,
this,
yes.
you know,
Yeah.
and he had said to me after like the second IVF, like he was women, we're different, right? I mean, there's no two ways about it. And he was like, it's okay. It'll just be you and me. And, you know, it'll be all right. And I was like, that's so
Right.
sweet. Thanks. But like, you probably haven't been dreaming about being a mom since you were like, you know, changing the diaper of your dolly. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
you
And when
know,
you go through
there's
IVF, I mean, when you go through all the infertility stuff, that's what I said to the doctor. Maybe it's not in your book. I think people are having sex. Like, it's
right,
so weird.
right?
Random. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe it's just not all in your book. Move me forward to twins. Are they identical?
they're fraternal. Yep,
Okay.
because we put two in,
Yep.
with two good looking ones, and we put them in, and it worked.
So what's it like raising twins, and what's it like to work and raise kids? And you got your dream, you became a mom. Was it different than you anticipated? Was it, what was harder, what was
Mm,
better? Because it can be worth it and still hard. You can love it and it's still hard.
hold up,
So
yeah,
twins is a totally different animal. Tell
right.
me about what it was like, and then working through all of that.
You know, when they first, so I had a business before, like when I was like 8 months pregnant, and then it wasn't. So I'm in the beauty business at currently, and I was for 20 years.
Okay.
But right before, I have a really long entrepreneurial journey, but before that, I was uh, in the homewares business, right? Totally different than beauty, but it was still based on art, and I loved it, but I wasn't making enough money in that business in
Mhm.
order to scale it and the way I needed to hire people. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to let this go right now, and then I'm going to pick it up again. And I think I actually picked it up a little too soon.
Hmm.
But, you know, having the twins was full on. At 5 months, I did have an au pair. I started with an au pair, which I really needed for myself because it was very hard to be alone, right? One was rolling off the bed, it was just really tough. And I wasn't like letting one scream for an hour while I was feeding the other one. It was just, I really wanted to have someone else with me. And then when they were four, I launched my beauty business, which I have today. And so, you know, it's sort of after I started developing it, it rolled right into COVID, which was a whole
Oh,
other thing. And it started off as like lipsticks and all of that. So I like developed it. We launched January 2020. We had a soft launch before, but where I really
yeah.
got like Neiman Marcus interested and the big guys, where they fell in love with my product, was in 2020. We were supposed to launch in April of that year. And so it was like completely derailed everything. So, yeah. So well, I guess I can get into it's like so the first year I was so tickled that I had them that their
Mm.
godmother walked in my house, and my cousin, my first cousin, had postpartum depression, and it was really, really rough. And her mom lives near me, and I said to her, if you think something is going on, please let me know. This is before they were born. I want to know, like, you don't need to tiptoe around. I want you to tell me if something's off, including if you think something's wrong with the boys, because she's an educator. And I
Mm.
was always, like you start thinking about other things like autism and boys and children and older parents and the whole nine yards. So I just was like, please let me know everything.
Yeah.
I don't want people to be like, look, she's really not well, but we're not going to say anything right now. So, um, so I giggled for the first year.
Yeah.
I know it's like I had the reverse. It was like some hormone had been let loose that I had been wanting these kids for so long.
Yep.
And then when they started walking, I think it really then I was like, whoa, this is
Full on.
this is great. They were like climbing the walls, like getting on different things. And I have pictures of them like scaling things. It was like really full on. And then sleeping when they were older, because ultimately, Brene Brown just said, relationships are never 50-50 ever.
Yeah.
So when you're at your 80, I'm at my 20. When you're at my 20, it's like we have to keep picking up for each other, right? Because it's just that life doesn't work that way. So, I joke, an alarm went off. We were away and there was this fire alarm that went off. And my husband's like, how am I supposed to sleep? And I'm like, just picture it's a baby crying. And he was like, oh, we
That's a great
gotta
idea. Okay, I could do that.
because I wanted him to sleep. So just picture it's a baby crying or someone vomiting and you'll go right to
You'll be
bed.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that when women are working, no matter what, the it just happens that the caring of the children, the getting up, that little piece of DNA they talk about in the base of our brain really is a real thing. And that when the baby
Mhm.
cries, our eyes wake up and we go right to the room. And it's was a rough time where,
Yeah.
I was bleary eyed and holding a business together, trying to dealing. And then, my kids didn't really sleep through the night when they were toddlers,
Doesn't
screaming
work.
for me at all hours.
Right. Of course. I want
It's
to talk about how we met. I mean, we haven't met, but like not in person, but how we met. Do you want to share that? Because this is so great. This is just who you are. And this is years into your business. You mentioned Neiman Marcus. Tell us what your business name is.
Yeah, my business name is called It's Lucky Chick. And I started it in my 20s.
Yep.
I lived in an apartment and it was LC on the door, lobby C. And a good
Oh,
friend of, yeah,
okay. Keep going. Keep going.
and a good friend of mine nicknamed me Lucky Chick. When I would do delivery at the time, like takeout delivery back in the day, you'd
Yeah.
actually call a restaurant and they'd be like, get on their bike in New York City and deliver your food. And instead of saying like Larry Kathy, I would be like, Lucky Chick, you bring it to Lucky Chick. And well, this is a whole long story. We can talk about this story for a long time, but I just wanted a life of pampering that I didn't have at the time. I ended up drawing at the character of Lucky Chick, and I wanted her to fall in love and get married, and all those things that were really, I was finding quite difficult to manage, figuring out how to do at the time. And then I ran that business for 10 years as a bath and body business. We were in Ulta, Sephora, 20 countries, 3,000 stores. So that was another, passion project that I had.
And then you
And
ended that one and waited some time. Why, if it was
so,
so successful?
right, because the bath and body business had been changing for a long time. And I
Mhm.
was in like Victoria's Secrets and Bath and Body Works, and they started to bring in a lot of their own private labels. I was like one of, I don't want to say like, I hate to say like, oh, I was the first, but like there weren't a lot of bath and body businesses in 2000. There was
Right.
like Dove and some body wash from
Yeah.
like, I don't know what, but it wasn't like that at the time. And so I met my husband the first day I launched my business. And he was Australian and importing my competitor into the US.
What?
Yeah, I know.
You turned him around though.
Right. Yeah. I used to steal his catalogs at trade shows. Catalogs. My kids asked me the other day, Mom, what are catalogs? Oh gosh.
My God. We don't need to go there. But yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was it like a kind of a rivalry? Were you trying to have him
No, it
switch
wasn't
to
a
you?
rivalry. I was more inspired because I was a lot newer in the business
Mm,
than he was importing this one person, but he was importing a bunch of people. He's not in
right.
that industry anymore, but and we ended up because the industry was changing and someone wanted to license Lucky Chick. I
Mm.
ended up licensing the brand and actually moving to Australia.
Oh, wow.
Because as you do, your husband gets a job 2 weeks before your wedding. You'd never lived in the same city with him. And he's like, you know what? I got this really good opportunity. And I was like, huh, I guess so. I guess I can because I just am licensing my brand and I've been working like crazy for 10 years. And so we stayed there for a year and then we returned and then started on the fertility journey. And then,
Wow.
and the interesting thing is before I got on the call with you,
Mhm.
I was in this mad rush of like, my kids are with friends. I was like going through all the things that you said, like no dog, change the
Oh,
babies, get
yeah.
in
Yeah,
order to
yeah.
do a podcast, right? You have to be
Right.
like very present and
Right,
no, I
right.
don't want any noise. And so I said to my husband, wow. And I told him what I was doing the podcast about, parenthood,
Yes.
entrepreneurship. And I'm like, it's really hard. And he said to me, yeah, you know why? And I was like, why? Like being a mother and having a business. He goes, because you both have to do each of them 110%.
Right? Holy cow. And, well, or one suffers a lot
Right.
and
And
you
sometimes
can't,
both do.
right. And it's hard. Just like you said, the 80% and the 20%, like when you step up and you're more like it should be 100%, but it doesn't look like 50-50. And
Right.
being an entrepreneur and balancing your family, it's that same, like, how many plates can you juggle before it falls apart? And, I mean, when you have systems and you have priorities and you have support, it works really well. But man, yes, it is hard.
Right.
It's
It's
hard.
hard. And then also as women and as the carers of a lot of people around us,
Mhm.
friends, parents of ours,
Mhm.
children, husbands, ourselves,
Yep.
right? And then that business that we really, it's like it's tough. It's
It
not an
is.
easy journey, um, but very worthwhile, of course.
Yep.
And with Lucky Chick, I get to meet a lot of amazing women. Thank you
Oh,
very
I
much. Like,
adore you. Right? Yeah.
so without my business and being able to reach out to people and say, hey, like, I love what you do, or can we connect? Or someone saying to me on Instagram, do you want to be on my podcast? And I get this time to reflect
Yeah.
after 10 years. I have not reflected like this in many years
Right.
on the birth of my children.
I was looking for lip gloss and I have three 24-year-old daughters, but one of them, she's like the guru. And I'm like,
You
hey,
have
I
three
need,
20-year-old, right? Right. Yes, I
yeah,
remember. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we don't need to talk about that. But she's
Right.
like the guru, right? These 24-year-old daughters. And I'm like, please, I have a lip gloss emergency. she's like, I'll take pictures and give you explanations. And one of them was Lucky Chick. And so I went on, did a little cyber stalking, ordered, no big deal. But then I got my package and there was this is mind blowing, handwritten thank you note. And for someone who is very similar to you in the business of like, really, it means a lot. It means a lot to be supported. It means a lot to connect.
Yes.
I sat down at my computer immediately and I was like, holy cow, I just got a handwritten thank you note. And you were sorry that it took so long, but it really didn't. And I just think I fell in love with you.
Oh,
Right.
thank
And
you.
I reached out and I'm like, I want to know everything about you and talk to me. And are
Oh
you a
my
parent?
gosh.
But that was like, it was how random that I just got this recommendation from my daughter, the guru of all things makeup, to order something from you. And then, of course, I wanted to order $7,342 worth. So I'm like, I got to get off this site. I can't stay on the Lucky Chick site. I'll be supporting her for the next year and broke. But I
Right.
mean, that you are in the business. This is a huge shout out to you because we buy stuff all the time, right? And
Right.
it's so rare that anyone takes the time and the effort and believes in themselves and is grateful for people that they write a handwritten thank you note.
Oh,
And
thank you so much.
I
Uh,
just, that's how this started.
yeah. And all of the people that I know in my life, I've connected so much. My most powerful connections are actually through my business and
Mm,
women who we know we support each other.
right.
And some of them have children and some of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, but so those are my people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met
Yeah.
other amazing women that are parents through my kids, but those relationships have actually taken me longer
Yeah.
because when we're meeting on a different wavelength,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I met you through this very like powerful way of like exactly who we are,
Right.
right? Not just as parents, but as women
Mm-hmm.
who are parents.
Who are running these businesses and putting heart and soul into it. So Lucky Chick. Everybody needs, I mean, all your information will be in the show notes, but
Right.
I instantly was like, I need to get you on my podcast right away because it's just so rare to find someone local. I are like in the US who just
Right.
believes that much. I do want to ask you though, for other women who are parents and considering entrepreneurial or struggling with it, you mentioned that you started a little too soon, and I want to know why and how much you love this version of Lucky Chick compared to the Bath and Body.
So when I started the Bath and Body, um, yeah, I was a single woman and could put 1,000% into my business,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when my kids were about four, my lawyer called me and said that I was going to lose my trademark if I didn't show use. So I always wanted to be in the color business.
Okay.
I
Okay.
love color. And you could see behind
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
my mom's paintings. My mom's an
Oh.
artist. And through my mom's successful breast cancer treatment, she did artwork as a meditation. And still today, she has shows and she's just, her passion is making art. And so I wanted to, and my housewares business was around her art as well. But then I thought, you know what? I really want to. My lawyer told me this, and I thought, now's my chance to
Mm-hmm.
do my color business, my beauty business, because I knew the manufacturing of it. I knew how to do it. And so I thought, I'm going to go for it. So a combination of, I was going to lose the trademark soon. So I'm like, well, how do I
Yeah.
do something halfway? I'm just going to bring it back. But they were young, and I had to go to Los Angeles for this amazing trade show. So I did have the support of the au pair at the time and my family, but it was rough leaving them for a week. Just the logistics of
Yes.
like leaving, running the business, going to a show. And then, then I opened an office right when I got back from the show in my town. But then with COVID, like
Yeah.
literally,
Okay.
like April 1st, I shut the office down and just
Mhm.
went D2C. And so we are in small stores. Right now, it's when people want Lucky Chick, it's best to reach out to us, my website and all that good stuff. But I also have other dreams because color is so competitive right now. But I've always wanted to be in sexual wellness. And
Oh,
so that's a whole other thing that's happening behind the scenes now, or not really behind the scenes, but Lucky Chick. It's like every woman now,
I
like
want
the
to get
menopause.
lucky.
Thank you.
Menopause.
Right?
Yep.
It's like, did I really have to go to infertility to mommy, like, you know, postpartum, went straight into
Menopause.
perimenopause. Like, and let
Yes.
me tell you, there's nothing like a good intimate serum called Lucky Chick.
No. Oh my gosh. Yep. Fell in love a little more. Okay. Definitely supporting. This is great. So it was basically, though, the timing of COVID and not realizing that. And so it was like opportunity and necessity. You did it
Yes,
and not
meets
knowing the
the
timing. That's what I thought. But
right.
yeah.
So I would just say to my kids during COVID, like, look, Lucky Chick doesn't give up and you don't either. Like, let's go. So that it gave me something to do also. Like the world was shut down and I was home learning how to do Instagram videos.
Yeah.
And
I'm still learning. But yeah.
me too, me too. No one ever is finished because it changes every day. So
Right.
that's a whole.
Yeah. Wow. What advice would you give? Just blanket advice to other women like us out there. I want to end, not that this has not been happy, the whole thing's been happy, but let's end on a super happy note. And what advice would you give?
I'm following Sarah Blakely a lot, and she's like the founder of Spanx because
Yeah.
like she's a mom and she's like, huge business and the whole thing because it's like no matter what level your business is at, like there are struggles of like balance. She talks about balance. It's
Hmm.
like there's a lot of grace that we have to shed on ourselves that,
Yeah.
if you're doing your business and you want to be the best mother and the best business owner, like some days like you're going to be like, oh my god, this is a train wreck, and then we have to give ourselves the grace to like start anew each day because it's I just when you said that to me, what advice, I just started, I was like breathing, I was like I was like it's like you know grace because it is not one is an easy task alone. And I think that we need to talk about how hard it is because glamorizing it on social media, and there's like a million ads out there, grow your business in 30 days. It's like, oh, what, right. And be a mom too. It's like, can we talk about
Yeah.
what an impossible task that is? And if we could be with other women and just be real about
Hmm.
like surround yourself. Like I'm part of the Female Founder Collective. Shout out to them. They're a national organization for entrepreneurs. Many of them are moms. I'm a
Okay.
I'm a proud member of the Female Founder Collective. The founders of that talk about balance and motherhood.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with women who want to talk to you about this topic and why you're doing this. So you're doing a very important thing by talking to women about like, hello, like let's spill beans on this. This is
Yeah.
really tough.
Stephanie, I could talk all day. I adore you. I'm so grateful that you were on
Thank
and
you. I
shared your
love the way
story.
we met. I just love everything about your business, your podcast, your
Thanks.
everything, what you do. So yeah, grateful to have my business and be a mom so I could talk to you. It's awesome.